Welcome everybody. What's happening? What's up? Y'all ready? Ready for this? All right. And so, Sandra, if you're having a problem with the workbook, just shoot a quick email to support@higdongroup.com. We had, I think, hundreds of people download that workbook, but you may have missed the link. So just shoot a quick email to support@higdongroup.com. They'll get you all taken care of. And 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 by the way, if we are so I am co-hosting this. Okay. So it's going to be me and someone I'm about to introduce to you. She's actually going to be taking you through the majority of the goals training, and then I'm going to be uh, jumping on it right after her and sharing some cool stuff with you, and we're going to have a good old time. Okay. If she will be going through her workbook, which you're going to get a ton of value from, whether you have the workbook or not. But if you did want to get the workbook, you can. It's at higdongroup.com/workbook, higdongroup.com/workbook. And I'm sure that, Thomas will be taking a look. If there's any of you guys are having any issues with downloading it, just shoot an email to support@higdongroup.com and he'll help you out. All right. So I want to introduce to you who you're going to be learning a lot from. And then again, I'm staying with you the whole time, and then I'm jumping on after her. So this individual was actually recognized as one of the top 50 women leaders of San Diego 2 years straight. She has just worked with countless individuals and startup companies, and she helps them by streamlining their process, reaching their potential, creating tools and systems. And she has been working with me now for 3 years and about a month, I believe. And she is my chief of operations. She is a best-selling author. She is just absolutely incredible, and you're going to fall in love with her. If you don't know her, you're going to fall in love with her tonight. And if you know her, you're already in love with her. She's amazing. But please help me welcome Vanessa Hunter. Vanessa, how are you?
I'm
Excited.
excited. I'm
You
super
want
excited.
drop 2026 if you're excited for 2026. Come on, come on. And if you've had a rough 2025, we don't need to talk about that because we're going to focus forward, right?
We're,
Keep our eyes forward.
we're actually going to do a little reflection, Ray, in a little while. But I'll tell you what,
But not in a bad way.
we are going to kiss 2025 goodbye.
There
That
you
we are
go.
doing for sure.
There you go. Awesome. Okay. So I am going to be on here with you, Vanessa. I'm going to let you take it away, let
And
you
I
start
am just,
your part, and we're going to have some fun. Yep.
okay, cool. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that intro, Ray. Listen, guys, if you don't have the workbook, that's okay. It will be able to go through a lot of these things. If you do have the workbook, it will be a little bit easier to follow along, but do not worry. I am going to take you through this step by step by step by step, and we will make sure that you get a lot out of this seminar that we're doing this evening. So listen. I want to start with a little story because what I'm doing tonight, I usually is a much, much, much longer workshop, but we are going to go through things this evening. I am fully believing that all of you are ready to seize 2026. I think you're ready to start something. You're ready to achieve more. You're ready to just squeeze a little bit more juice out of life. And so I want to start here with a story. Um, this is well, hopefully you'll enjoy it as much as I do. So let me paint the picture for you here. I'm walking along with my boyfriend at the time, walking along the coastline of La Jolla, California. We have just had a beautiful dinner, very romantic. We're watching the sunset over the water in La Jolla, California. And my boyfriend turns to me and says, "What are your hopes and dreams for the future?" And I, perhaps not being such a romantic, launched in to a whole thing about goal setting. I was like, hopes and dreams, hopes and dreams. I have goals. I don't hang my hat on hopes and dreams. I have goals and I write my goals down, and I launched into this whole thing about how I had attended a success seminar and the keynote speaker was Zig Ziglar, and he told us all to write down our goals. And at the time, I had never set a single goal in my life. I didn't know what was happening. He said, write down at least 20 goals. I couldn't even think of 20 goals. Like I had such low expectations. And then I just got to the point where I thought, you know what, guys, I'm just going to write these goals down. I'm just going to be audacious. I'm just going to put some bold things on there because what have I got to lose? It's a piece of paper, right? What have I got to lose? So I wrote down 20 different things. And one of those things was that I wanted to double my income. Now, at the time, I wasn't making a whole lot of money. So doubling my income was a big dream, if you will, until I put it on that piece of paper and then it became a goal. So I wrote down all kinds of things that day and at that seminar with Zig Ziglar. And I apparently didn't even know, tucked this piece of paper into a book. Almost 2 years later, as I was cleaning out some books, getting ready to donate them, I opened up a book and I found this piece of paper with these 20 things that I had written down in that success seminar. And I could not believe that more than half of the things that I had put on that bold, audacious list had actually come true. More than half of them had actually come true, including doubling my income. So in that moment, I became a believer. I became a huge believer. And I'm telling Brad this story as we're walking along the beach, and I'm just so passionate about it, and so passionate about the fact that if we really set goals and if we do it the right way, they can come true. And I did not realize that Brad had a goal that night, and that was to propose to me. And he did not let my enthusiasm for goal setting deter him. And he went ahead after I finished yammering on about goal setting and throwing stats at him and talking with a lot of passion. I finally settled down, finished my monologue, and he proposed to me that evening. And so,
That's awesome. That's really cool.
isn't that fun? All of this to say, it is incredibly important to have hopes and dreams for the future, but they remain hopes and dreams until you set a goal. You have to tie it to a goal. And like I said, Brad had his goal that night. One of us came out of it. Well, we both won, but he actually achieved his goal that evening. So let's take you down this path. I want to know why you haven't set goals. If you haven't set goals, some of you are goal setters and you're just on here for a refresher, and that is fantastic. And if you're a goal setter, put hashtag goal setter or drop goal setter in the comments. But if you are not a goal setter, I want to know why not. I want to know why you haven't set goals in the past. And if you look through the different reasons that people haven't set goals here on the screen, drop the number that corresponds with the reason that you don't set goals. Does it take too much time? Do you not know how? Do you think you're going to fail? That's a big one for a lot of people. They're afraid that if they set a goal and if they actually speak it out into the world, they're afraid that they might fail. A lot of people aren't good with following through with their goals. Maybe you've set goals and you didn't hit it. And so then you feel bad about yourself. So you're like, why do I even bother? Why do I need to go through the whole goal setting process if I'm only going to feel cruddy at the end of it? Or some of you are like, I've got way too much going on right now to set goals. And I'm speaking to you because life does get a lot more simple when you know what you're aiming for. So let me know in the comments, in the chat. Let me see if I can see the chat. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. Awesome. Oh my gosh, you guys are so awesome. Lots of feedback here. All right. So think about this. I want you to kill all of these excuses that are on the screen and other ones. You guys probably have 100 other ones that I haven't even thought of. We're going to kill the excuses, and I'm going to teach you how to make a plan that is solid, executable, and that is going to make you feel really good about goal setting. All right. So let's dig in. I'm going to start with a little reflection. We said we're going to say goodbye to 2025. And believe me, I am ready to say goodbye to 2025. It has been really good in so many ways. And in some ways, it has not been great. So I would love you to just jot down, what were your biggest personal wins for you over the past year? What were your wins? What you consider your wins? What were your biggest career, job, educational wins over the past year? What areas or specific projects did you struggle with? And I know I'm going fast. I'm going to give you a second because this part we really need to dig into. What projects did you struggle with? Here's a huge question. Where did your stress or anxiety come from? What made you feel anxious? What kept you up at night? What are the things that you just could not stop thinking about and just kept going around and around in your head? What was that all about? And if you could look back on the past year and say, what are 3 to 5 things that you would change about the past year? I know there are several things that I would change. I think that none of us are perfect. And I'm sure there are things that we're all sitting here going, I could have handled that better. I could have done that differently. I could have done something differently. What I do not want you to do is sit here 1 year from now at the end of 2026 and wonder why you didn't accomplish more. That's what I don't want to happen for you. So it's okay to sit and take a personal inventory of what this past year was all about, as painful as it may be. We're going to say goodbye to it. You got to own it, right? You've got to claim it. Claim the wins, claim the losses, claim the opportunities, the things you could have done better, and then we move on. All right. I hear you, Jenny, trying to balance work and family life. That is definitely something that people struggle with. All right. Here's where the hopes and dreams kick in. Take time to think about what you really want in life. And I say this, what we think we want, we don't really, really want. So it sounds silly when I say that, but most people want more time with their friends and family, more money so they can do the things they want to do. Or if you pass those two things, and sometimes before that, the resources to make a greater impact on the world. That's another big motivator for people. So all of those things are kind of out there. I want more time. I want more money. I want this and that. How are you going to get there? It's not going to fall out of the sky. It isn't. You're probably, your chances are not great for winning the lottery. You can certainly play it, but the chances aren't great for winning the lottery. So you are in a position to be the captain of your ship here. And if you want specific things in life, then we need to get super clear about what that is. And then we'll make a plan for how to get there. All right. We don't have, normally I'd give you a good 10 minutes to kind of think about this. We don't have the luxury of that kind of time this evening. So please make a note to yourself. Take the time within the next 24 hours, not next week, within the next 24 hours, take the time to really sit quietly with yourself and think about your hopes and dreams for the future. And for me, the easiest way to do this is to look back and say, okay, if it's kind of morbid, but it works for me. If I die tomorrow, what are my regrets going to be? That helps me clarify what my hopes and dreams are for the future. If I'm not around anymore, what are my regrets going to be? So hopefully that helps you guys and it's not too morbid. All right. Here's another thing. This is the wheel of life. This is it, and this is in the workbook. So that's why it says use this worksheet at the bottom of here. This is in the workbook. We're not going to go through the entire wheel of life this evening, but I will tell you how to use it so that if you've got it in that workbook, which you do if you downloaded the PDF, then you will know how to use it. And this is another thing you can do by yourself in your quiet time. And I highly encourage you to do it by yourself. And here's why. Let me tell you how it works. First of all, the wheel is divided into 8 different wedges. And what you are going to do is shade in each wedge according to your level of satisfaction with that particular area, that particular piece of the pie, if you will. So if you notice where I have the number 8 now, it is the wedge that is labeled relationship with partner. Whoops, sorry. Relationship with partner / romance. If you rate that an 8, that's awesome. 0 is the lowest level of satisfaction. 10 is the highest. So that's one example. You could rate that an 8. If you go over to physical and spiritual well-being, health and wellness, that may be down at a 4. Maybe you're not doing so well physically. Maybe that's just a 4. And that's fine too. But what this does, if you take every single section and decide what your level of satisfaction is, and that should be fairly easy for you to do. Just think about it and think, am I halfway satisfied? More than half satisfied with this? Or am I less than half satisfied? Then you can just give it a number. And this will help you when you set the life goals. We're going to talk about life goals and business goals tonight. And I'm going to focus on business goals, but I want you to see what the life goals are all about and how easy it is to evaluate where you are today and then decide what you need to work on or what may require more attention in order for you to increase your level of satisfaction in that area. So does all of this make sense, Ray? Am I making sense on the wheel of life?
Yeah, for sure. I think, if you don't look at things like this, then it's very easy for you to look at one area of your life you don't like and it just dominates you. And it's hard for you to be grateful for anything. But the
Yes.
truth is, if you have eyeballs that can see, if you have lungs that can breathe, if you have clean drinking water, there was a time where 27,000 people a day died from dysentery because they didn't have clean drinking water.
Mm.
Like if you have clean, I think like half the world or something like that is 4 hours from clean drinking water. If you can get up out of your chair and go like, I think that this helps with gratitude. It also helps with, okay, what can I improve?
Yes.
And so I think it's very powerful.
Yeah, it really does. What areas need your attention, right? And that's where you can do some goal setting after you really sit and evaluate. Now, I will give you one word of caution. Don't sit and do this with your spouse or significant other. And the reason being, I did this with a lady once. We were in a live seminar, right? We were in a live room and we did it. And she brought me her piece of paper, her wheel of life, and she's like, and I said, "Oh, good, you're really good in the relationship with your partner." And she whispered to me, "I only put it that high because he was sitting next to me." And I was like, "No, no, no, that doesn't work. You can't rate it higher because he's sitting next to you. You have to be honest with yourself." So please, I encourage all of you to go and do this by yourself. Be really honest with yourself because when you can own it, when you can really say, this is how I really feel about something, then you can start to improve your circumstances. But if you're just blindly going through and saying, well, I feel great. I feel good about it. But you don't really feel good about it. That's not going to work. Not long term. Okay. So we've got 2 areas. And again, if you have the worksheet, you have a worksheet that says life goals and a worksheet that says business goals. And you're going to decide what you're going to focus on, whether it's your life goals, business goals. I always set both. I set some life goals and some business goals every single quarter. I work in 90-day sprints. That's how I like to operate. So I do a couple in the life area and a couple in the business area. And that makes me feel well-rounded. So, and it makes me feel like I'm making an improvement in all areas of my life. So, for the sake of the conversation, though, I'm going to focus on the business goals because I think a lot of you on here are business owners, or you have your own business, or you want to start a business. And so I'm going to focus on the business part of it. But we've touched on the life goals. Certainly do the wheel of life, and then you can set your goals in that area. The process, regardless of whether it's life goals or business goals, the process is the same. Okay. So SMART goal setting, you're going to notice that this is a little different if you've ever set SMART goals before. I have one word that I changed on here because I don't like the original one. So SMART goal setting is setting specific, measurable, and it used to say achievable, but what is the difference between achievable and realistic? So I changed this to actionable. Is this within your scope of ability? Is this something you can take action and make happen? Is it realistic? Is it time targeted? So specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time targeted. And we'll
I,
talk a little bit more about that in
I
a second.
love that you say actionable. I love that so much. I've always hated achievable.
Yeah.
And that one, if you're shooting for something like, first of all, I mean, like everything is achievable, right?
Yeah.
That's not very good. And two,
Right.
if it may force you to set a goal that you've already kind of hit.
Yes.
Like, yeah, I've achieved that before. Well,
Yeah.
that's not the right kind of deal. Like, why would you do that? Or
Exactly.
you already know how to do that. Like, you
Yes.
should be, this goal is, I don't know exactly how to do that, but I could take action toward it. Like, I like that. I've never heard that. I love it.
Yeah, actionable, really, because some people will write down goals that they aren't in their power, right? I want to win the lottery, not in my power. Yeah, I can take steps towards it, but it's not in my power. So actionable really forces you to look at goals that you can actually achieve, which is going to increase your success rate considerably. All right. So, tactical action plan. First of all, you've got the workbook. If you don't have the workbook, just follow along with us here on the screen. Look at the slides on the screen. Um, the the little blue area is the area we're focusing on. So, the very first thing you're going to choose is the area, whether it's a life goal or a business goal, and then you are going to choose what area of life or what area of business is this going to apply to. So, for the sake of this particular webinar this evening, choose one goal. Let's not try to do all of them. Let's try to fill this sheet out for one business goal or one life goal as you follow along. I think you'll get a lot more out of it. And then you can always go back and choose, do the same method for other goals. But let's just go along and do one thing, one goal this evening. What I learned from Zig Ziglar all those years ago is that the group of people that wrote down their goals, that broke them down into smaller action steps, and that shared them with somebody, those were the people that had a 76% success rate. That's crazy good. I wanted to be one of those people. When I heard that, I wanted to be one of those people with a 76% success rate. I wanted to be in that group, and I'm pretty sure you guys do too. So follow along here. You've got your one goal. It's a life goal or it's a business goal. And sit right now and just think, what is that? What's one thing, just one thing that you'd like to accomplish? And so I'm going to go through the SMART method again. Specific. I want more clients is not a specific goal. I will enroll 5 new clients this month is a very specific goal. Okay? So be specific about what you want. It needs to be measurable. You need to have a number or a metric or a milestone or some way of knowing that you've achieved your goal. So put that in there. You need to know when you've achieved it. Like in the above statement, the 5 new clients, not I want some more clients this month. I want 5 of them. That's it. That's a milestone. I either hit 5 or I don't hit 5. Actionable. Can you take specific actions that'll make this happen? Can you do specific things that'll make this happen? We'll get down into what that is in a minute, but is it something that you have control over? So, is it realistic? Do you have the time and tools to actually accomplish this goal? Is it realistic? And then is it time targeted? Whether it's a long term goal or a short term goal, it's got to have a deadline. It must have a deadline in order for you to get there. Okay. So stretch yourself, but not way out of bounds. Okay. Be realistic, be a little unrealistic, but make sure you don't do something that's way out of bounds. Okay. Why is the next section on your worksheet is why is it important that you achieve this goal? And the reason you want to really get into this is because when you get frustrated down the road, as you might, when you get discouraged down the road, as you might, when people tell you it's never going to happen, you need to be able to come back to this section and a section below that I'll touch on in a minute. But you need to be able to come back to this section and say, why is this goal important to me? And sometimes, I'll tell you guys, sometimes when you get to why is this goal important to me, you realize it isn't. At that point, you switch. You say, okay, that's not an important goal to me. I'm going to work on something else. But this will give you some great clarity if you can fill in why is this important? All right. Next thing is breaking the goal down into smaller action steps. So breaking it down into much smaller steps. If you want 5 new clients this month, how many do you need each week? And if you want 1 or 2 per week, how many people do you need to talk to get there? So knowing your numbers is going to be really important. Now, some of you can say, well, I've talked to 100 people and I got 1 client. All right. Then you know you need to talk to 200, right? Like these are your numbers. So hopefully if you're in business, you know your numbers. If you don't, certainly start tracking them. And maybe that's a goal. Maybe one of your goals is set up KPIs, key performance indicators for my business. Set these measurable things up for my business. That is a goal in and of itself. Try to anticipate the roadblocks and the obstacles along the way. And I know this can be a little challenging, but I did have someone in one of my courses said they set a goal, a 10-day goal, and then they were going to be on vacation. And that's just setting yourself up for failure. That's an obstacle. You don't have the time to achieve that goal if you're on vacation for a week. So what are the potential obstacles? Some of them could be I've got other demands on my time, um, family obligations. There are all kinds of things that that could potentially interfere with your goals. So let's figure out what those potential obstacles could be, and then you can brainstorm the solution for that. So family obligations might mean you say, hey, spouse, hey, partner, I'm going to work on this goal that's going to take a lot of my time and energy over the next 90 days. It's just 90 days though. So I need you to bear with me and let me knock this one out for 90 days and maybe not do every school run, maybe not do pack the lunches, maybe not do some of the certain things and have your partner pick up some of that slack for you. That would be the solution to not having the time because of your family obligations. So that's
Yeah.
just an idea. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I'll add to that. Like, I get a lot of people that they'll set the goal and they will not have a conversation like that with the people around them. And so they'll be like, okay, I got to hit this goal. And then as soon as, oh, I got to make dinner, or oh, I got to pick up the kids, or oh, I got to go do this. And so did you set yourself up for success? Probably not. And so I just, now this is more extreme than most people. I'm not saying you have to be this extreme, but when Jess and I were dating, and this was 16 years ago, and I was in foreclosure, dead broke, $1 million in debt, deeply depressed, right? I mean, I wasn't depressed because of Jess, right? I was depressed of where I was net worth.
Yeah.
And I joined a direct sales company, and I told her, I said, hey, listen, the next 2 years are going to be hell. We're not going to go out to eat. We're not going to go to the movies. We're not going to travel. We're not going to do anything. And it's not like we were doing hardly any of that anyway, because, she was paying my utility bills.
Yeah.
But I had to have that conversation because I had to get out of it. And I think too often we are scared of that conversation.
Hmm.
And it's something. Now, I didn't know that me going all in, that in 5 months I'm at 10 grand a month, and 7 months 40 grand a month, and 10 months 50 grand a month. Like I didn't know. I thought I really thought it would take 2 years just for me to start making hardly any kind of money. I didn't know going all in would net me so much money so much faster than I thought. And so I think, the having the conversation is a big deal. However, some of you have gone to your spouse 15 times before, and you say, hey, I just joined this new thing. I'm going to rock and roll this thing. I'm going to make it happen. And you didn't. You didn't do the work. You didn't show up. You didn't keep your promise. And
Hmm.
so I find that a lot of times when someone says, well, my spouse just doesn't support me,
Hmm.
that they did the first 14 times, or the first 8 times, first 9 times. And so if that's the case, okay, then they are not going to buy your miracle speech. They're not going to buy you painting your face and yelling freedom. That ain't it's not going to get them. They're going to say, hey, I've seen this movie before. I know the ending. You ain't tricking me this time. So it's going to be a little different for you. If you've made that promise 52 times, you're going to have to put your head down. You're going to have to get up an hour earlier, or you're going to have to stay up an hour later. You're going to have to not interrupt their world, but you're going to have to go and do it, and do the work, and then go and pay off their truck, or go and buy them a new necklace or whatever. And so, just know you should not be hinging me doing the work if they accept, agree, and believe in me. You need
100%.
to go do the work.
Yeah.
And so I think it's very powerful of having that conversation. I think too many people don't do it.
It's so true. And what you just said, then go buy them a truck, is all about celebrating reaching those goals or reaching the mini goals along the way and involving the family. If you are going to put your head down and work really diligently hard on something for 90 days, and you involve your family and you tell them, look, your spouse, your kids, whoever needs your time and attention, look, this is really important to me. I really want to knock this out of the park. I really want to do well on this. I've got 90 days to get it done. That's the deadline I've given myself, or 30, or however many days it is, right? Then you have to say, but kids, if you support me in this, but spouse, if you support me in this, then we'll go celebrate. We'll go to the beach, or we'll go play this game, or we'll go and do this. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money. It doesn't have to be a trip to Disney World. It has to be you spending time with the people who love you and the people you love. That's what they want more than anything. Making those memories. And that's as simple as building a sandcastle on the beach, or kicking a soccer ball around the park. That's all they want. So give them that. Give them something. Go ahead, Ray.
Yeah, and I just want to point out, like, keep in mind, we're always those with kids. Drop a one if you got a kid, or drop the number of kids you have. Let's see who has the most kids.
I like
Six.
that.
You got six. Holy moly! 6, 5, 11. Y'all know what causes these, right? 11? You got 11? You got 13 kids? Come on now. Come on. You
You
think I'm
don't
giving away prizes or
really?
something? Come on. Come on. Anyway, so keep in mind, those of you with kids, okay, we are always teaching them how they should be. So if we say, well, I'd be hitting my goals if it weren't these darn kids, what do you think they're going to grow up and think?
Mhm.
So when I leave the house, and I learned this from a mentor. When I leave the house, I tell the kids, I'm like, hey, I want you to know, Daddy's going out. I'm going to be speaking in a different city. I'm going to be helping in other people, and I'm doing what I love to do. I hate being away from you, but I'm doing what I love to do, and I'm helping people that need my help. And you're going to do this one day.
Yeah,
One day you're going to probably leave and go impact people that you want to help, and you'll be passionate about it and excited about it. And so yes, I'm going to miss you. I'll call you, and we'll stay in touch, but I got to go. I got to go do this. So I don't just say, I'm so sorry, I gotta leave. I'll be back, I promise, as quick as humanly possible. Because then it sounds like work is pain to me. Work isn't pain to me. I love what I do. I can't believe I get paid to do what I do. I love it. It's amazing. I was spoke in 6 different cities last month.
yeah,
And I loved it. Now, that's a busy month. I don't normally do that many speaking events, but I loved it. And I can't believe they paid me. And so like I want my kids to not look at work as, oh, I'm so sorry. Like I don't want them to look at that like that. So whenever you're bringing your kids into the mix, understand that you're dropping, they're watching you. They see how you operate. And if you're showing up and the vibe that you're giving off is because I'm a mom or dad, I can't hit my goals, what do you think they'll think? Right? When they have kids, they're also not gonna hit their goals either. And so I know that may be hard to hear, but you can always turn that around, I believe. I really do.
yeah, and call it out, right? Call it recognize that it within yourself. Recognize that that may be a pattern that you have put out there already. I think that's solid, solid, Ray. All right. On this next section, the bottom of the goal sheet, whether it's life goals or business goals, is how will I feel when I achieve this goal? On one of mine, Ray, I wrote, I will cry. I was
Nice.
I will be so happy. I will be so happy. I will be in tears. And so, be real with yourself. How will it feel to achieve that goal, whatever it is that you've been working on? How is that going to feel? I guarantee you will look back and say, "Yeah, it was worth it." You will. In the end, if you really, really set good, smart goals, you're going to be able to look back and go, yeah, it was worth it. I did a 90-day run. I mean, think about that, Ray. How many 90-day runs? How many? And like you just said earlier, you achieved your financial goals a whole lot sooner than you thought you were going to. If you even had goals, you might have just been saying, hey, I'll cash a check, whatever it is. So, but you got there a lot faster than you thought you would.
Absolutely, no question.
Yeah, it's worth it. So here we go.
But I want it. But just to point that out.
Hmm.
But I so just to go 1 inch deeper, maybe 2 inches deeper. So like just in that story that I shared. Like, I was completely in love with Jessica. I mean, we were dating, but I was like, she was the best woman I had ever met by far, and she was just so amazing. But what I couldn't do, okay, because prior to Jessica, I was engaged to someone, and when real estate got tough and I went on the road and I was 22 days a month on the road, Vegas, Chicago, Phoenix, Miami, LA. And I just, it was 100% commission. I wasn't a paid speaker. No one, I would fly into an area and sell a real estate investor system. And if I didn't sell any, I didn't get paid. It was a complete waste of time. I didn't get one dime. I didn't get a per diem. I didn't get my meals paid, like nothing.
Hmm.
And so it was high pressure. It was difficult. It was tough. And when I would fly away, my fiance would call me and berate me and make me feel guilty for being gone for so long. And I'm just trying to keep my head above water. And so I just grew to absolutely resent her. And I didn't want that to happen with Jess. I wanted to be upfront with her. I had to get out of this hole. I think, that's a blessed place to be. I really think it's a blessed place to be when when you're really at the end of your rope and you really have to do something about it, because I think too many people are just uncomfortable. They're not painfully they're not yet, they're sick and tired, but they're not yet sick and tired of being sick and tired. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. I was sick and tired of playing credit card roulette, right? Where I was at the store, I'd be like, and I'm just like, please work, please work, please work, please work, please work.
Please.
And then they'd say like, oh, this didn't go through. I'm like, oh, you know what? I just got a new card. Sorry. And I, please work, please work, please work. Because if two of them don't go through, they're on to you. Okay.
Yeah.
If one doesn't go through, maybe there's a mistake, but two of them, now they're looking at you like, buddy, are you going to pay for this? And so I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. I think there's too many people that aren't there yet. They're sick
Yeah.
and tired. They're uncomfortable. They don't like their situation, but they're not at a point where they're going to do something about it. They're
Yeah.
not willing to get uncomfortable. They're still worried about what the neighbors think. They're still worried about what their friends think. And I'll tell you, man, you worrying about what other people think of you is holding you back. It's keeping you from all of your potential. I mean, I had so many people make fun of me. I had so many people like, "Oh, couldn't hack it in real estate," and like, whatever. All right, moving forward. All it did was reveal to me who are my real friends, and let me tell you, there were very few of them. Very few, very few.
Your circle certainly gets smaller. You know what they say about change, though, Ray, is people don't change until the pain of change is less than the pain of staying the same, right? They just don't. They're like, I'm uncomfortable, but I don't want to change because that's painful. Well, consider the alternative. Consider staying where you are. All right. How will you feel when you achieve this goal? Make sure you write that down. This is another part to come back to when people criticize you, when they make fun of you, when they say you're never going to get there, when you get frustrated, when you're just at the end of your rope and you think, why am I doing this? Come back to this section. How will I feel when I achieve this goal? That will give you the juice you need to get it done. That is going to, if you really get into how you're really going to feel when you get there, that is all you're going to need to be able to keep going forward, to propel you forward. All right. Prioritize. The very last section on both sheets, the business and the life worksheet, is prioritizing. Prioritizing the goal, whether it's a high, medium, or low priority goal, and whether it's a short or long-term goal. The reason this, please do take the time to do this, because the reason this is important is because it will help you structure your day when you decide what you're going to do, when you have all these different competing goals. This priority list is going to help you structure your day as to what you work on first. So in business, for example, I work on money generating activities, revenue generating activities first. That's always my first priority. Anything else will happen later. If it's a revenue generating activity, it's going to happen first. So make sure that you are setting your priorities, whether this is a high, medium, or low priority goal, so that you can figure out which goal is most important to me. When you've got all these sheets in front of you, you've written all your goals and you've done this exercise for each one of them, and you've got, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5, however many in front of you. You've got these sheets in front of you. You need to be able to figure out which one's your top priority. Which one
Yeah.
is your top priority and which one gets your attention first? Not that the others don't get attention, but which gets your attention first, Ray?
Yeah, and this is really huge. For example, probably, I mean, almost everyone on here, maybe not everyone, but almost everyone on here should be spending more time prospecting, and you know it. All right. So here's how I believe most people prioritize, not necessarily their goals, but prioritize their um, actions by
Mhm.
level of comfort.
Mhm. Mhm.
What's comfy?
Yeah.
So it's like, what's comfy? I'm going to put the non comfy down here.
Mhm.
But if you notice, that non comfy is probably the number one thing on your priority as a goal,
Mhm.
right? So as prospecting, that's the thing that hardly anyone ever wants to do. But if you only did that, all the rest is easy,
Yeah.
right? Like, Brian Tracy talks about eat the frog, right?
Yes.
So like, what is the hardest thing that I need to do today? Let me tackle that, and then the rest is easy. The
Yeah.
rest is simple. And so, for me, like, some of you have read, let me find it here. Some of you have read Go for No for Network Marketing, which I was the co-author.
Mhm.
And I went for 20 no's a day every day for 6 months. That's what got me to that high income, and on and on and on and on to millions of dollars.
Mhm.
It was the 20 no's a day. It wasn't podcast.
Mhm.
So listen to podcast is very comfy. I can sit in my rich mahogany library and kick my feet up and contemplate and listen to Mozart, right? All of that is very comfy. I'm not saying it's not helpful. It is helpful, but like you need to like I love this slide right here. This slide right here is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars to you if you pay attention. But I'm telling you right now, how most people are doing it is they're prioritizing by comfort.
Yes.
And then guess what? We get to the end of the day. Oh man, I'm so tired. I didn't prospect anyone. I'll hit it tomorrow. Mañana. Right? No, you won't. You're going to do the same thing tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so it's doing that uncomfortable thing. And there's a question. I ask myself this question every day for 7 months, 7 months straight. And it was, what can I do today that would make me proud of myself?
Mm.
And what you'll find is the answer to that question is the fastest way for you to grow your self-esteem, your self-confidence, and it's going to be something you don't want to do, but will grow you. And sometimes, some days they were simple. I remember one time I'm going to a football party, and I knew that there would be a lot of junk food there, and that was back when I struggled with my weight. I was 230, 220. I mean, at one point I was 255 pounds. I no longer struggle with that. I just don't, I am, my wife says I'm the most disciplined person she knows. And so
Yeah.
I just don't struggle. I did have, um, for the first time in year and a half, my son wanted me to try the Reese cup with Oreo. So I tried it. It was okay. But that was my first time having candy in a year and a half. Like I just
Wow.
don't crave it. I don't desire it. I got rid of all that stuff. And so it's, but I remember that day I knew I was going to this football party. So what can I do today that would make me proud of myself? Was not to eat like a maniac, because that's what I'd done at every prior football party my entire life. And some days it was I need to apologize to someone. I didn't want to do it, but I needed to. And so that was a day that I did that thing. One day it was skydiving. And I was very scared. I was very nervous, right? But those are the things. So that's I love what you're saying here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's so good. So that what Ray just shared is an example of a short-term goal. Somebody asked about short and long-term goals, and to be honest, they're relative, right? If you have lots of things to do today, then those are all short-term things. But Ray wanted to go to a party and not eat junk, so that's a short-term goal, right? But no less important, and no less reason for pride, and no less of a goal, right? That's a goal. And so you should pat yourself on the back for that. You should celebrate that every single time you achieve a goal. Celebrate it. celebrate it in one way or another. Sometimes it's just taking some time to yourself. Maybe you don't get a lot of time to yourself. So figure out what that reward is and celebrate achieving those goals as well. Okay, let's get going here. All right. Once you have the whole sheet completed, whether it's the business or the life worksheet, you're going to take a look. Again, you're going to ask yourself, is it specific? Is it measurable? Is it actionable? Is it realistic? And is it time targeted? You need to put a deadline on your goals. They are not goals if they don't have a deadline. And it could be a 2-year goal. It could be a 5, 10-year goal. There are lots of people. How about those lists, Ray? I don't know if you've heard of it, but people do like 40 things I want to achieve before I'm 40 or 50 before I'm 50. Have you heard those?
I mean, I've heard of the bucket list. I hadn't heard of those.
So 40 before 40 or 50 before 50 or 60 before 60, whatever it is, whatever decade you're in. But is that a long or a short term goal? Well, if you're doing, 50 before 50 and you're 49 and a half, they're short term goals. You've got a lot going on there. So make sure you've got a deadline. Make sure that you are crystal clear about what you're trying to achieve, how you'll know when you get there, what steps you're going to take to get there, any potential obstacles, having those conversations with your family members or your business partner or whoever it is that needs to be supportive. And I'll get to that again in a second. And just make sure you've got that deadline on there. All right, here we go. Mr. Consistency himself. I have worked with Ray now for 3 years, like he said, 3 years and a month. And I have never met anyone more consistent. And the cool part about this is you can start being consistent anytime, even if you are known as a procrastinator, even if you're known as someone who doesn't finish what they start, even if you're known as these things right now, you get to change your identity today and decide to be really consistent. Give Ray a run for his money, right? You can start to be consistent today. You can start to be reliable today. You can stop being a procrastinator today. A very dear friend of mine who we lost several years ago, Dr. Corey Gold, used to say all the time, he would say, choose your hard. Choose your hard. It's regardless of what you're doing. Achieving goals is hard. Not achieving goals is hard. Staying in the same place, stagnant, kicking yourself because you haven't done anything, that's hard too. So choose your hard and be consistent. All right. Be sure to involve your friends and family. We touched on this earlier, so I'm not going to dig into it any more than we already have, other than the fact that you need to make sure that they know what you're trying to accomplish so that they can support you and help you along the way. And then this is so critical. Find an accountability partner. And it doesn't have to be even anyone in your same business or in your same stage of life or anything. You can call someone and say, look, I'm working towards this goal. I would love to be able to text you every single day and tell you whether or not I worked on it. Period. That and you have to be honest, obviously, about your text messages, but anybody can be your accountability partner. You are far, far more likely to achieve your goal if you have an accountability partner, somebody, and give them permission to hold your feet to the fire. If you don't text them, they should be texting you going, hello, what happened today? They need to hold your feet to the fire and you need to give them permission to do that. All right. Once you have all your goals on the life goal sheets and the business goal sheets, then you're going to look at the priority ones, put the top priority, shortest time frame at the very top of this list. What this list does is keep all your goals right in front of you. So you're not looking at the 5 different sheets. You can go back to them and you should refer back to them. But this gives you the goal, the target date, and whether or not it's a high, medium, or low priority. Put the high ones on top, the medium ones in the middle, the low ones on the bottom. Print as many of these as you need, and you'll be able to have those Keep them right in front of you. I have mine taped right in front of my computer screen. They're just below it. Keep them right in front of you so that you have to look at those every day. If you tuck them away in a folder, if they're with your goal setting workbook, if they're out somewhere else, you'll never look at them. You'll never achieve them. Put them somewhere where some people put it on the bathroom mirror, right? They put it on their mirror so that they look at it every single day while they're brushing their teeth. Wherever you decide to put it somewhere that's in your line of vision every day, every single day. And then mark it off on the worksheet as you're getting there. You'll be able to highlight what you've accomplished and what you haven't accomplished and what you still need to work on. So, all right. Most importantly, track your progress, keep it visible, read them frequently, don't give up, reset if you need to. I saw in the chat a little while ago somebody said, "Well, it's the big hairy goal and I can't get there." Right? They didn't use those exact words, but basically they said it's a big giant goal and I can't get there. Break it into smaller goals, then reset if you need to. Reset if you need to. It's okay. If you realize that you have not been realistic with your time frame, stop, figure it out, figure out what a realistic time frame is. And but here's what you don't do. You don't let yourself off the hook. You know the difference between I wasn't realistic or I'm being lazy. Okay? You know the difference between realistic and lazy. So be honest with yourself. This whole thing requires honesty with yourself. If nobody else, just be honest with yourself and you will be able to achieve your goals.
Yeah, let me add something there. So, multiple things. Oh, geez. Some will just saying, be honest with yourself. Some people will take that as a license to beat themselves up.
Mm, mm-mm.
And there's for some people, so we get chemically addicted to whatever we repeatedly do, good or bad. I'm going to say that again. We get chemically, listen to how I'm saying this, chemically,
Mhm.
we get chemically, neurologically addicted to whatever we repeatedly do. So some of you only feel alive when you're beating yourself up because you've been doing it for so long. Some only feel alive when they're angry. So there's a chemical addiction in the body that actually craves that. It craves the beating yourself up. It craves the anger. It craves and so you actually get kind of weirded out when you don't have it, so you got to go to it, right? You got to take a hit. And so I want to help with a couple things. So one, there were several. I saw my bud Alan in here giving some advice on language. So here's the thing about language. So if you want to make a change, any kind of change, right? It starts with awareness, then it goes to your language. Okay. But here's the catch about language. You have to say things in a way that are going to move you to where you want to go, but also at the same time, you can believe it. That's the trick. So if you say, that's me, I am just not consistent, then, your wish is granted. You're not going to be consistent. As long as you keep saying that, you are unable to be consistent. It ain't ever going to happen. You're never going to stumble one day and be like, oh my goodness, I was consistent. Like it's never going to happen. It's not a whatever, right? And so, but you also can't say, I am amazingly consistent. Why? Well, it comes to your brain, right? There are three different, primary parts of your brain. Your thoughts start in the neocortex. And when you have thoughts that you accept, surrender, and believe, they pass from the neocortex to the limbic brain, which is the chemical brain, the emotional brain. That is what will communicate down your spinal cord. It'll send amino acid peptides to the adrenal glands and create emotion, right? So you'll actually feel. right? You'll actually feel that thought. So you can't go from, I'm dead broke, I have nothing in my bank account, to I am a millionaire, because you ain't gonna believe it. And if you don't believe it, it's just a waste of space. You're just wasting your time. And so you have to say things in a way that you can actually believe, right? And so in the past, I struggled with consistency, but I'm so grateful I'm getting better. See, that's hard for you not to agree with. That's hard for you not to say, well, that's at least possible. I guess I could be getting better at it. And in the past, I definitely did struggle with it. Well, so if you start setting your hindrances in the past, you have a shot at a new future. You telling it like it is keeps it like it is. I think my friend Belinda, said that. Um, and so I want to share that part. So if there's something in you that is keeping you from goal setting and hitting these goals, then identify it, be aware, change your language about it. Okay. And don't go crazy, right? It's not, I'm so happy and grateful I'm a millionaire, because you don't believe that. I'm so happy and grateful I'm super good. No, right? I mean, I like the I'm so happy and grateful part. I like that part. But if it's joined to something you just don't believe, it's not powerful. So it's, in the past, I struggled with this. I'm so grateful I'm getting better. See, that's hopeful, and hope grows. Very powerful. You can change anything in your life. I look at, some of I'm not going to go into it 'cause, it'll take too long, but some of my, ballroom dance, story. And I just thought, man, I'm just not a good dancer. I will never be a good dancer. I just suck. This is terrible. This is a physical thing. It also was a mental thing. As soon as I stopped beating myself up and I started mentally rehearsing me being good as a dancer, I got good as a dancer. And we came in first place in two different dances, international competition in Miami. And so in the past, I struggled with blank. I'm so grateful I'm getting better and better. That is how you change that. Now, when it comes to your goals, this is a phrase I don't know which of us actually came up with this, to be honest, but I did a course with Mark Hoverson, and we came up with this line that I really, really liked. And it is, what would make success inevitable?
Wow.
Okay. So, like, I want to have six-pack abs. Okay. And okay, well, what would make success inevitable? Well, me being strict with, diet, me having good fats, not bad fats, me having, protein, me doing lots of ab exercises. I saw, I think it was a video or something of where Mike Tyson used to do 1,000 sit-ups a day. All right. And so what would make success inevitable? So whatever goal that you're setting, just ask yourself, what action steps, if taken, would make that inevitable? So when I tell people that I went for 20 no's a day, did a video a day, and worked on myself every day, I did personal development every day, I did a video every day, I did 20 no's a day. No one is shocked. No one's like, "Oh my God, that worked." Everyone's like, "Yeah, that'll do it." Well, in 20 years of teaching this, I've had only 3 that came to me and told me for an extended period of time they got 20 no's a day. All 3 became $1 million earners. Now, there may be others that never came back to me. I hope that's the case of all the people I've trained, right? But why not? Why not identify what would make success inevitable, and that's your go-to. Like, if you hear and if you if you look at your daily action steps and you look at your goals, and there's any, I don't know if what I do here is going to get that, then something needs to change. Either this needs to be altered, right? Lesser goal. No one wants to hear that. I know, right? Either we got to drop our goal or we got to increase our action. But what we don't want to do is have big goal, little action, because that creates a state. You know what that state is? Frustration. Frustration is thinking we should be farther along than we are, the opinion of where we are. That's frustration. And so if I'm just not, if I'm going to eat the cake, then okay, not six-pack abs, but maybe just 200 pounds. All right. if I'm if I'm not going to do the sit-ups, okay, all right, maybe 210. Like if I have we got to do something here. You got to realize this over here result, this over here habits, like something's got to give. But what I see is people keep their goals up here, not even look over here. That's craziness. That doesn't make any sense. And so I just, man, so powerful, Vanessa. I know I jumped in there.
Oh, I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did. It's so important. And I love the language and the way we speak to ourselves and I think that that is critically important just for your own well-being. And the fact that some people do beat themselves up. I didn't even think
Yeah,
about that until you said it, but it's true. It's so true.
yeah.
And so thank you for that. That's really powerful.